Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today, we are going to be taking a look at the new trailer for the comic book adaptation Bloodshot that is starring Vin Diesel and Guy Pearce. And this looks a little bit interesting. Now, fair warning, I have not read the Bloodshot comics, so I don't know how many major differences there are between the book and the film. So if it's an extreme departure, I'm not really going to know about it. It's kind of obviously it's a bit of a lesser known comic book than some of the more major stuff that we see these days, but still a bit of an interesting premise though. So at first, there's an early part in the trailer, like actually before the trailer even starts. It's kind of like a promo thing, where they show you this really weird shot of Vin Diesel, and the entire shot is bathed in red. I'm assuming this is some aesthetic thing they're going to do for the most of the really high-end, high-velocity action scenes in the film, where the entire film is bathed in like what looks like a red filter. And Vin Diesel then gets shot in the face. And you see like part of his face like actually blow off, and then it kind of reforms a little bit, and he lifts up a gun and shoots, and you don't really see what he's shooting at. It's just one shot of Vin Diesel. But then we actually get to the trailer. I just wanted to mention the visual because the visual was kind of interesting. But getting to the trailer, so Vin Diesel, they establish him in the early parts of this trailer. Again, he's the main character, so you do want to have kind of a base. And they go into basically that he was a soldier. He was killed in action somehow. They go into it a little bit. They show like him in some military uniform, and they show like a grenade going off and some stuff. So we don't know exactly how he died, but we're assuming that he was clinically dead for a period of time. And Guy Pearce is telling him all this, who basically is the head of what appears to be this organization or this company that works in some kind of medical field where they bring these dead soldiers back to life. Apparently, Vin Diesel is the first that they have successfully managed to bring back to life. And he basically they go through like the explanation of Vin Diesel's powers in this, because he does have superpowers. So basically, he has all these little nanites inside of him that maximize his they maximize various parts of him. So they only show two things. Maybe there's more, but they only show two things in the trailer. Really, they show that he has super strength. They have this shot where he punches this concrete pillar a few times, and eventually it just cracks and explodes. And then the other thing is they slice his hand open with a knife, and you see that the nanites fuse his flesh back together, so they heal him. So he has Wolverine's healing factor. Which I think is okay, so you basically have an indestructible killing machine. So that doesn't really make for an interesting story initially, but then we keep going through the trailer. And what we see is that he remembers that they ask him if he remembers anything, and he remembers that somebody killed his wife, and we see this guy in this what looks like a winter tactical uniform or something, and his wife's tied to a chair. And the guy shoots his wife in the head. And also, sorry, it's fair to note at the beginning of the trailer too, we kind of established this there's this little montage where you see where he's with his wife and stuff like that, and then you go to the facility where he wakes up and they explain everything to him. But he goes on a hunt for this guy, and they show this scene where it's the action scene again, where it's bathed in red, and you get to see his chest. He's wearing an overshirt, and he's wearing a t-shirt, but you can see through the t-shirt, it looks like there's a glowing red underneath his skin, which means I guess the nanites are working overtime or something like that. They're giving off this red hue. And then on top of that, he's getting shot and stuff like that. They show this scene where he breaks an assault rifle in half with his forearm and a bunch of other stuff, and they show him drop kicking a guy, and he flies and hits this stationary truck. But here's the thing. So that's only about a minute into the trailer, and then we get to the plot twist of the film, which I think that maybe you might have given a little too much away here. I think that maybe you should have kind of left that little. You should have had the whole thing leading up to that, and then the end of the trailer was maybe this instead of doing it at the halfway point. But I'll go over that a little bit at the end. But basically, after that, this company that Guy Pearce owns has been monitoring him through the nanites, and they shut the nanites down and basically knock him unconscious, and then they take him back, they wipe his memory, and then they replace the image of the guy he just killed in his brain with somebody else. So they're essentially using him as an assassin, and he doesn't know it. And then we kind of do the rinse and repeat thing. It's kind of like Edge of Tomorrow a little bit, where it's kind of like, live, die, repeat, that kind of thing, except in Vin Diesel's case, he's kind of like the Winter Soldier, actually, now that I think about it. He's kind of like a Winter Soldier ripoff, where he they bring him back in, they wipe his memory, and they send him out to go get a new target. And that's kind of their whole point. It shows like multiple people. It shows like 5, 6 people, and they do the same thing with each one of them. So I'm not 100% sure if he kills all of these people in the movie, but they don't actually show anything. They just show the face changing and stuff like that. But then Vin Diesel appears to start to realize what's going on. And he realizes that they're using him, but they keep wiping his memory. There's kind of one of those things where he starts getting deja vu, because they have a little bit of a scene at the very end of it where he says, "I feel like I've heard this song before. Is this on repeat?" And it's kind of the thing on the end of the trailer. We're like, oh, his life's on repeat, but it's kind of like his brain, his subconscious still retains things, but his active memory doesn't. So he kind of feels like certain things are the same. He kind of feels like he's been doing things before, but he doesn't have any memory of it. So it's kind of that subconscious type of thing. So that's a little bit interesting. I think that can go places. And then apparently there's this other character. I don't know the actor who plays him, but it looks like he's kind of the guy that brings Vin Diesel like out of his cycle almost, or breaks the cycle and convinces Vin Diesel that he's being manipulated by these other people. And I'm assuming then the end of it is just Vin Diesel going after and murdering Guy Pearce. But that's the other thing, is that this trailer, aside from what we assume to be the end confrontation between Vin Diesel and Guy Pearce, by the way, maybe they actually do show it now that I think about it, because there's this little section where Vin Diesel is talking to Guy Pearce, but it seems like it's in like a virtual world, because they show like the world forming, like loading, almost like a video game, and he's talking to Guy Pearce about a bunch of stuff. He's like, "You don't know what guys like me are like," and stuff like that. It's kind of one of those mano-a-mano conversations, but it seems like it's on some kind of a digital plane, which is interesting. And again, I don't know what the context of that is in relation to the film, whether that's like, they have him strapped to a chair and he's like, Guy Pearce is like in his brain or something, talking through the nanites or something like that, or they're altering his perception of reality through the nanites or something. But it kind of gives away a little too, maybe not too much, maybe just enough, but I'm worried that in the final trailer we're going to see more stuff that maybe we didn't need to see. And like I said before, I think this probably should have ended where they treat it like a traditional Vin Diesel action vehicle type of film, and then at the end they show, all right, shut him down, and then they bring him back in. It's like, all right, who's the next target? That should have been probably the end of this trailer. I don't think you should have shown anything after that. I think maybe save that for like the final trailer or something like that, like right before the movie's going to come out, like show a little bit of that. But I think this first trailer should have probably ended there, and I think you would have had just enough mystery, because generally the way this kind of works is, you have your TV spots and stuff like that might show like a half second of like extra footage and people obsess over it and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's 3 major trailers that come out with films. So this is the first one. You'll have one more probably, in like another couple months, and then I don't know exactly when this movie comes out, actually, now that I think about it, but you'll have a second trailer probably about the halfway point between this movie and between this trailer and the release of the film, and then you'll have a final trailer probably like a couple weeks before the film comes out. But overall, I don't think it looks terrible. Again, I kind of think like it looks like a bit of a generic, a little bit of a generic Vin Diesel action vehicle, but he has the healing factor. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's actually a scene in there where they kind of give away one of what appears to be one of the major confrontations, where they show a guy who has like Iron Spider like type. How Peter Parker in the MCU has like the Iron Spider suit where he has the little spider legs that come out and can do stuff. It looks like it's a guy that has that, but he only has 2 of them. And I don't know what the context of that is, again, in terms of the film. I don't know if that was in the comic book either. But he's fighting that guy and they fall out of like an elevator and stuff. But again, it feels a lot like that. It feels a lot like a Fast and Furious trailer or something like that, except with less cars. But again, it has that kind of generic feeling to it. It feels like it's taking elements from other things we've kind of already seen before. And again, this is being adapted from a comic book, so it's possible that possible the comic book was written way before some of these other films were put to screen. But I'm just saying that's what it feels like. Now, maybe the movie will be a bit more original in its execution, which is really where a lot of that lies anyway. But um, it has me interested, but I feel like it's revealed a little too much of the story. But I want to know what you think. As usual, I will link the trailer down below if you would like to watch it. But what do you think? Are you excited for this movie? Did you read the comic? Do you want to see the film? Are you happy with Vin Diesel and Guy Pearce as being the main characters in the movie? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Again, I'd like to know what you're thinking. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?